What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Impel Forward Podcast. I'm your host, Leon, and of course, I have my friends with me, co-host Renee, Larry, the Modified Gentleman, and my boy KP. What's going on?
Let's go.
KP is officially a part of Impel Podcast. You know, we brung Larry in slowly but surely, but now he's like just family. Now it's like with KP, slowly bringing him in as well.
So I'm part of the family now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad I earned my stripes. You know, I'm glad y'all didn't jump me in and there was no hazing.
Yeah.
The hazing,
over here. It's all
the
love
hazing
over
has
here.
changed over the years. It's kind of dangerous now.
Right.
Been dangerous, but okay.
There you go. So as you know, we have a list of topics to keep things going, right? Nice little flow. And I said prior to us going live, I was going to give KP and Larry their flowers. We talked about Stellantis the last on another recording that we did that haven't aired yet, and you guys will probably get that if not this week or the next week. How's the order going, Leon?
They will get that this week.
Okay, so you're gonna where we talked about
whenever they see this one.
Yeah. So we talked about Stellantis. Remember, we talked about how they were offering their employees early buyouts, right? And both you and Larry said, take the money. In so many words, you said, where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Hold up. I said, take the money too now. Give my flowers. I sure did.
Okay, well,
we can
guys
rewind.
I'm going to give you your flowers, right? With that, because I think I also brought up that you know, the offer can only go for so long, and they can just do layoffs, and it's not a good faith early buyout, right?
Right.
So recently, they announced that they were laying off 900 people.
Wow.
Nothing in the article said anything about the buyout that was previously
done.
presented.
Dang.
Right? John Hope Bryant, is that his name? You know, he's all about financial literacy and all of those things. He too said they should have took the money. They should have took the money and reinvested it into something or bought something or did something with the money. But they don't stay. They should have took the money. That got me to thinking, right? So I said, let me go in the comments. Let me look in the comments and see what people are talking about. And Larry, you know, Leon's been busy this week, but Larry and I kind of
I saw it.
I saw it. You saw it in the comments?
It was one woman who worked for Stellantis, and she was saying he got to cut on. He don't have all the details.
Right. But a lot of Black people were saying, you know, I would stay. You know, or, you know, instead of taking the early buyout, I would have stayed. And then some people were saying that, you know, severance, what they pay you for severance is not enough. And I mean, it was just so many comments against the early buyout that, you know, kind of trailed over to this, what John Hope was talking about with the, you know, now with the layoffs, that a lot of people, I noticed a lot of our people have what Larry called financial traumas.
Yeah. Heavy. For sure.
And I want to speak on that because, you know, John Hope Bryant is very big on financial literacy, especially in Black men, right? But I think that trickles down both ways. Right. In this article, the Discord in the comments brought me to that is that Black people really have trauma with money.
Yeah. I don't know if you finished, but, you know, go ahead. We'll hop onto it.
Go ahead.
From my experience, what I've seen like firsthand is that a lot of Black people say that's the white man's game, you know, playing the stock market, doing investing, things like that. And there's an overarching sense of ignorance there, not ignorance as in, you know, some being stupid, but ignorance as in lack of knowledge, ignorance as in lack of what is the proper way to do something. And I think that hits the Black community a lot because if it's something that we don't understand, we come up with a justification not to go further or not to find out how to really do it. We just say, oh, that's because of X, Y, and Z. That's why we don't do it. But nobody ever does any homework and figure out we can do it too. We don't have to listen to the rumors of that's not for us type of thing. And I think that hits the Black community a lot, especially when you talk about money and financial investing and things like that. It's the long game. It's playing the long game. It's legacy. It's setting yourself up, setting your family up to have something to pass down. That's where the generational wealth is. And to be honest with you, just recently, and I mean recently, within like the last maybe 10 years, the Black community cannot stop talking about generational wealth, building generational wealth.
Good point, Larry. You're right.
And I think that's a huge thing. However, in the way I see it, you can't have your generational wealth if you don't have the mindset for it first. Because you start hustling backwards, because you start hearing all this. Oh, go start a business, go start an LLC. And then you get all these people who are not business minded going to start businesses, and it puts us deeper into a hole. You know what I mean?
So that's what.
Go
ahead.
No, that's but I'm just saying, like, go ahead.
I was just saying that's where the education would come in. At I was just having a conversation with my tax. I got my taxes done yesterday.
Oh yeah, boy, you cutting close, ain't it?
Yeah, and we was talking, and I told like what you just said, Larry. Us as Black people, and what I like to tell people, you got to do what they do, but on your level. Yeah, I mean, we might not have as much money as they do, but it's things we can do on our own level.
Yeah, we got resources
to get it, to try to get ahead or make a better life for ourselves.
Facts. And I agree with that, man. We still, okay. I think a lot of people still don't understand that like Black culture is very, very young. It hasn't been around for thousands of years. Like other cultures across the globe. Like Black American culture is very, very young. And so it's still in a way searching for its place, its identity. What does it mean to be Black American without trying to integrate with other cultures? You know what I mean? Like, and that's tough. That's difficult. And so when it comes to Black people, of course, you have Black people who want to hold on to every penny, and you have Black people who are trying to flaunt it. And you kind of lose in both arenas, So again, it's like, where do we fit? Where do Black people fit financially? And that's where you have traumas along the line, because the money, Black dollars don't stay in Black neighborhoods, and that's been scientifically proven, economically proven. And so it's like, where do you start with that? And you have all kinds of individual financial traumas, and then you have cultural financial traumas that hit us a lot. And that's where you have, Black families putting their family money into endeavors that was rigged against them to begin with, or even just simple things as far as like buying a house, and we're not being able to accumulate the equity as our other counterparts type. You know what I mean? What I'm saying? Like the financial trauma hits us in so many various ways. And it's wild. So now when you hear a company might be going out of business, they got a severance package on the table, and Black people are like, nah, I'm not gonna take it. I'm just gonna keep working. I'm just gonna keep what? Like, if you have the mindset to know, like, it's just a job. Like it's your job is not your identity, But this money's on the table. You got in the Black community, I think we lack an analytical mindset as a whole, not just one person. As a whole, we lack an analytical mindset to look at the situation and do the pros and cons, And sometimes we self-sabotage. I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes we self-sabotage. So, and our finances is a part of the sacrifice for that. And it's weird. But as far as the Stellantis thing, yeah, I definitely would have took the money because, and that's not a race thing. That's a classism thing. That's the company trying to stay afloat. So they're dropping the weight. They cutting dead weight. I would have took the money and been out. Let me find something else. Let me continue on. But now you have people who missed that severance, that buyout window. Ain't no more money left. Like if the company tell you, hey, we're in trouble, and we got to start, letting people off, that's a red flag. You need to pay attention to that. But you got to be business minded to see that. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I definitely think it's a scarcity mindset too. When I was reading some of the comments, they were saying like, oh, they're going to tax that bonus at such and such percent, and I'm not going to be able to live off that because I'm used to making this. And it's like, okay, they may tax it. We all know there's ways around that, right? When you know it's coming, exempt. You know what you can do. Right.
Go exempt.
All of the money. Right. Or you can accept the layoff and they can pay you 2 weeks of severance versus what was it, the $25,000 that they were offering you.
Yeah.
Well, I think they were offering 50 and 75.
Yeah, between 50 and 75, depending on years of service, right?
Yeah. Right. Only years of service.
So you take that, or you take the 2 weeks. In some states, to be honest, what I learned, one of the states that's huge with my company, Kentucky, severance is a good faith offering. It's not something that they're required to offer you.
Right. I see that.
Neither is paying out your vacation. Neither is paying out your vacation in certain states. I know one of the main states that has the most laws that protects people's wages as far as pay and job loss and severance is California.
California.
Yeah.
California. And I can't remember the other state. It's up in the northeastern corner somewhere. Is it
Massachusetts?
Delaware? And I think but it's always, they always have different.
Delaware definitely heavy for like business benefits.
Well, definitely. So it's
everything.
Yeah.
I think what you guys are saying about tying into what Larry says, that when we are when we talk about financial literacy and where we are as a Black community, I think one of the things why we talk ourselves out of things, we're always late to the game, we're always late to the party, we're always the last to learn, and we're always at the brunt end of the bad part of that thing that happens. And part of our problem is a lot of the money that we're seeing now in the last 30 years, it's all new money. There has never been this many millionaires, Black millionaires ever. And if you go back into the 1920s or even to the 1890s, right after Reconstruction, if you look at it per capita, we have more people with more money now because of, let's just say, all the professional sports. And you have a lot of us that work within the corporate America and rose through the ranks, and some of us are even hedge fund managers at this point. So this is all new money for us, and so but we still have left behind a population of our culture. And what I like and what I think it is, and what I kind of know what it is, there's this term called epigenetics. And I'm not sure if you guys understand, epigenetics is it's a passed down trauma. I remember they did a study to make me understand. I looked at it and I was kind of researching that there, and there was a study where they did a study on mice. And this is for the audience, if they're listening. What they did a study with mice. And what they did was they put them in this maze-like environment. And they allowed the mice to run around, but in certain sections, if they went in a certain section, it would shock them. And so the mice learned to not go in certain sections because this section will shock you. And so what ended up happening was they end up getting rid of those mice and getting the offsprings of those mice. And then when they put those mice in the same environment and remove the barriers of the shock, those mice were still, because they were offspring, still wouldn't go into that section because of epigenetics. That's passed down trauma. I like to call it unrealized traumas that we have, and we don't know why we have these things, but it's unrealized. And then boom, you realize it, and then it's passed down through trauma, which is an epigenetic. So I think that we suffer from epigenetics when it comes to a lot of things that involves trauma, but definitely financial trauma, simply because when we were freed and we fought for our freedom, they opened our only bank, which was the Freedmen's Bank or Freedmen's Bureau, which many of us know. And a lot of people put their money into that bank, and that bank was poorly managed by them. And that bank went belly up, right? And then it began a mistrust. And here's that epigenetics passed down to us. Our parents wasn't putting money in banks. Our grandparents wasn't putting money in banks. They was burying it in a mason jar under the tree in the backyard somewhere. Or in a mattress. They had so much money, they had it from themselves, right? So because they didn't trust the banks because of what happened, right? And there were times where there were benefits for us, like the late 1930s and the Great Depression as it happened. A lot of people lost a lot of money. Why? Because they had their money tied into the financial sector and in the banks. Well, who didn't lose their money was Black Americans. And therefore, that's why they were able to, they had the cash. And there's a story going around. You can watch this guy's on TikTok. He gave the history of how Cadillac was saved in the late 1930s, right after the Great Depression, because all the whites, because of racism, Black people could not put their money in banks, right? So we have to remember that too. So that's part of the trauma that's passed down. Well, Cadillac traditionally did not cater to us or market to us, but there somebody got a bright idea. It's like, hey, let's sell it to the Blacks. Because why? Blacks had cash at the end of the Depression because we weren't allowed. This when racism worked in our favor, right?
Right.
And so they were able to put a Cadillac in everybody's carport at the time, right? So sometimes it works for us. And just a side note, kind of like with the opioid epidemic, they wouldn't prescribe to Black folks because they said we were drug heads. So no, you can tolerate a higher pain. And so white American and others got prescription drugs. Well, it became an opioid epidemic, and we weren't part of it because implicit bias and structural racism would not allow them to prescribe certain drugs to us, which were part of the opioid pandemic. So I was when that happened, I was like, I wish for them the same that they wish for us in the 80s with the crack epidemic, right? So the same empathy they had for us is what I have for them with the opioid. But I think with the financial literature, I do follow a lot of what John Hope Bryant says, because a lot of people that I listen to or Jegnas that I follow, they kind of like him and don't like him because he's just a purebred capitalist. And if you know that's what you're listening to, he's palatable if you look at him that way. But if you look at him another way, it'll kind of turn you off. As I saw the interview with him given about Mr. Trump and acknowledging him, he was like, hey, man, I'm for this president in a sense. I want him to be successful because if he wins, we win. I don't agree with that.
Right.
Because Reagan won in the 80s, and most of us was born in the 80s and raised in the 80s. And Reagan won, and the Republicans won in the 80s from 80 to 88, but the Black community lost.
Yeah, it wasn't for us.
So many levels.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't agree with that narrative. A lot of capitalists, a lot of people do use that as a when they're screaming from the bully pulpit about, well, hey, we need to support this president because if he fail, we fail. Not the Black community. If he wins, we still lose.
Yeah.
Right.
Agree.
So
and not everybody is in his same position and or tax bracket. So how can we win all together?
Huge.
Correct.
Huge.
But I find that guys like him are like that. They mask as a pillar of the community and a staple of the community, and to actually help build the community, but really they're extracting from the community.
Yeah. He just became popular. Well, to me, I would say I don't even know who introduced me to him. Maybe it was Larry or
Probably
Leon.
me.
One of you guys.
He comes from I think his daddy was his grandfather was Buck Bryant. I think it's a story behind it. I'm not gonna get into the history of it, but
I don't how did he become so vocal and popular?
Social media,
advancement in his financial portfolio. He was a real estate guy, and he got in bed with a lot of venture capitalist people. And
I think he was a consultant or something with a couple of presidents in the White House too.
Right? Yeah,
he consulted a ton of presidents on financial things, or he dealt with a lot of Secretary of Finance. That was part of the three different administrations, cabinets. Yeah, so he has tentacles that reached into the cabinets of all White Houses, and as a result, when you're able to get that close, then you can get favor. And if you smile enough and you say the right things, then you will find yourself in financial windfall.
Yeah. Some back rooms that we didn't have access to.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before him, we were listening to Boyce Watkins. He was out the he was the financial voice for the black community at one point.
Yeah, and I can take it. He's a capitalist as well.
It's just hard.
But are we all capitalists or not?
I think that we all. I think to be a pure capitalist, you have to be let's just say in the easy word, a slumlord. You have to be someone that is very comfortable with being a shrewd businessman in order for you to be successful in it. You have to
be somebody that took the emotion out of it. You took the emotion.
You have to be void of emotion. I remember a good friend of mine. He was he had a moral crossroad that he was going to meet because he was going to start a business. And you know what that business was? It was check cashing company within all the into the urban communities. And he said, I could do this and get rich, but my people are going to suffer because I'm going to keep them in financial bondage from paycheck to paycheck, or I can just stay away from it in general and find another way to make a better financial, just make money in a different way. So some people don't have a problem with that. They like, you know what, check cashing. They have a moral compass, and a thing that a lot of them, they have what they perceive as a moral compass, because it's like Trump and Elon, they don't think they're doing anything wrong.
Right.
So they're in a different mind space. They don't think they're doing anything wrong. And so you'll have some black businessmen that don't mind investing in industrialized prisons to make a profit. You have some that just do not have a problem with it, because in their mind, they're like, well, the man is going to make the money off it. Don't y'all feel better that I'm making the money? Right. And we're like, no,
I'm black and the people in there looks like me, so it's going into my black pocket.
So that's how they can contort themselves into feeling good about making those financial endeavors. And for us, I don't think any of us would open up a check cashing place and be proud of it. Just I'm willing to bet 2 nickels on that. But
I feel like Leon would, though. I feel like Leon.
You know what? Excluding Leon. Leon will open that and a pawn shop. Leon would do that.
No.
So you can go in there and hot your microwave and pay on it for 18 years.
Crazy thing
he got one of the best things going right now for the community.
In Oregon, they got rid of all the check cashing, those type of places, those credit check cashing places.
Well, Oregon, what is the black population in Oregon? Don't answer that. Just say 5%. What I'm saying is they wouldn't do that.
I was going to say between 12 and 15.
In Jackson, Mississippi, they wouldn't do that because the legislature wouldn't let them, because the old boys are profiting off of that. But Oregon that's hitting their pockets. That's hitting their people.
Yeah, and they care about their people, similar to California, right? You don't see a lot of check cashing places around if you go to California.
No, but they do got a lot of pawn shops, though.
They do. Well, they have to, you know what I mean? Because people there are fake rich. And that's kind of what happens. But, me being new to this whole John Hope Bryant guy, it's hard for me to feel like somebody is, great for the culture and the people. Then you turn around, you selling me a book at the same time. So how you gonna help me build wealth and financial literacy, but you selling me a book? I got to come out my pocket, my last $30-$40 to buy your book to learn how to save money. So I'm spending money to learn how to save money from you.
Hold on, now.
That's because
but he's also giving a lot of
free
good
stuff.
education free on YouTube, and he's doing a lot of
probably
teaching.
One of the only ones that I'll agree with Leon. He's probably one of the only ones that do give free nuggets. He does more than most.
When it comes to that, Myron Golden.
What's in the book, though? So what's in the book?
Who is that?
Myron Golden.
What's in the book?
I don't know Myron Golden.
What's in the book? I haven't bought the book. Right. I do plan on buying it, but it's a lot of stuff he's telling you. But he goes more into depth.
If it's for free, he's still making money on YouTube. Let's be honest, right?
But
he's giving free game on YouTube, but he's probably what's his monthly fee on YouTube that he's getting for?
That's a check.
I think he makes money off the doors that he owns than he does on YouTube, because he made a comment about how much his streamings he gets. He said one got over 1 million, and if you do the 1 million views versus the CPMs or whatever they pay on YouTube, it's probably $5,000, right?
I mean, look, we spend money. People spend money on books just for entertainment. Why not spend money on books for education?
Community.
He does a
I
lot.
think Renee,
You need to
honestly,
listen to him more and see what
right.
he does.
I think more than most, he has done. He has given more free nuggets of things, and I think when you go to his website, like Operation Hope, there are a lot of free things in there. They're offering to fix people's credit for free, and there's a ton of people making money off of that. They're offering. Yeah, he has a lot.
Don't get started, Renee. Don't get started.
What's that?
Don't pay for that.
Don't get started, Renee. We know.
So what I'm saying is, out of all the people that we would say, quote unquote, grifting or grifting the Black community, I think that he's probably a little bit more legit than some that I've seen come. I've seen, we did, like Larry said, we were followers of Boyce Watkins, but I can't tell you one person that has ever followed anything or bought a course or did anything that made any money from Dr. Boyce Watkins.
I bought a course from him like 7 years ago.
Leon got to look in.
I bought a course from him like 7 years ago.
And what it end up being, a bunch of slides?
Huh?
What was it? A bunch of slides once you got the course and you had to read it and
yes, if I remember correctly, it was like
you purchase it and flip it and put your name on it and resell it. Digital products.
Probably. Yeah.
But even with that, it's still good teaching and education.
It is.
A lot of people don't know.
It is.
But a lot of it, by the time, because you got to understand, by the time they publish that and by the time it's available, a lot of that stuff, those plays that they may tell you to make, are outdated.
Right.
Hey, boys, if you get in his in Texas and do stuff live on what he's doing, he does that now. If you sign up, whatever, what do you think? He'll send you text this number. Here, this is what I'm doing now. This is what I'm doing now. Do this. I mean, he does that live.
Well, that's good. I stopped following him because he would blow my email up, and I just had to all right, man.
See, you didn't want it. You didn't want it.
That was more like Sean
King, man. It was too much.
That was like Sean King. I'm still waiting on my book from Sean King from last December when I donated. But that's another topic.
So you talking about Sean King? What are you doing for you, Sean King?
What book was it?
He's more of a political activist. And I ain't seen it. I mean,
well, again, let's cut away from Sean King, and I'm glad you said that. That'll give us a segue into culture vultures, right?
Yeah, we're going to get into.
It's not us. He is appearing to be he's passing, but he's not us.
Ooh,
but hold on. Everything that we're talking about right now, it plays into why we have financial traumas, or we currently have financial traumas in the community, because it's like you don't know who to trust.
Where's my book at?
That's it. Yeah.
Right. But it's like you're looking at people who look like you, who have good intentions, but also it's a catch-22, because then people can't put food on their own table with good intentions. So they do have to find a way to support themselves and the community. But then eventually there becomes some type of conflict between I really am trying to get this money because I'm hurting or I'm trying to survive, but I also want to save my community. So they don't continuously go up together, I'm gonna help my community make money, and I'm gonna help myself make money. One or the other, it's just gonna blow up. And usually, it's the individual taking the money and just going up with it. And
but
the community stays stagnant.
That can be that can be on the community though, because a lot of people, they take courses or they try to learn something and don't stick with it.
True.
That is
it's an individual thing.
That's true, because I think what they do is, it's kind of like when you have your kid in the most expensive school and you're paying $2,000 a month for that school, right? So we all know if you're paying $2,000 a month for your kid to go to junior high, and that kid comes home without any homework, you're kind of like, you don't have any homework? I'll pay $2,000. You better have, So so we attach value to something because we pay so much for it, and so we're expecting something for it. Right. And where I'm going with this is, I'm using the analogy of we're paying a lot to send our kid to junior high, $2,000 a month, and they don't have homework. Then you kind of like, all right, well, I'm wasting my money if you're not having homework, when really and truly they probably doing a different curriculum. But it goes to, for me, the reason why I I don't mind if the curriculum divide is $3,000. I'll pay the $3,000 if you can get to the nuts and bolts of what I give me step 1 to step 10.
Yeah.
And just cut out all the fluff. I don't want to hear about anything else. And I think if our community started presenting and packaging things like that, the reason why I stopped listening to Boris Watkins, y'all listen to him. He talked too damn much, right?
I would agree with that.
He talks too much before he gets to the play. Like, give me the step 1, step 2, step 3, and then
yes,
yeah.
And that's why we're hesitant to buy anything from him, because man, you talk too much. Tell me the first.
I follow him on Instagram, and man, he was posting something about Beyonce the other day, and I'm like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? It was random. It was just random. It was random.
Yeah, he does talk a lot, but if you go into his courses, he has a lot of step-by-step things.
I'm pretty sure he has a lot, but I don't want to go through the fluff to get to what I need.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
You talking about him talking on Instagram and YouTube. I ain't talking about that. If you go,
I don't follow him at all. I know a lot. I watch YouTube. I am a YouTube watcher, right? I watch documentaries. I watch everything. And if I see a topic here and it says something here, shopping, for instance, a haul, right? I went to the mall and I bought something. I don't care that you started off at home, stopped at McDonald's, stopped at Starbucks to get to the clothes. Now you lost me. I'm either fast forwarding, I may miss something, or I don't even want to watch you at all, because now you're
right. So the point that I'm trying to make is they have to fill up the room with content, because whatever what they're about to tell you may only take 6 minutes. And who's going to pay $1,500 for a 6-minute video?
Understand.
You know, so they have to fill it up with a whole bunch of fluff, and that's the part I don't like.
I agree with you. Speaking of, you know, I don't want to say grifters. I want to say, you know, what some people would deem pillars of the community, right? So we heard about the young man, Carmelo Anthony, right? We heard about him.
I haven't seen all the details of the story. I've seen bits and pieces of it.
It was a track meet, right?
Yes.
Somebody got stabbed, right?
Yeah, it was a track meet, and go ahead, Renee. Yeah. I'm just giving them nuts.
And I don't know if it was the young white guy had been bullying him for a while, or it was just added tension, and I think it resulted in some sort of stabbing. Right.
Yeah, it was reports that so these guys were under a tent, and Carmelo,
because it was raining or something. Yeah.
I don't know if it was raining. Just if you guys have been to a track meet, you trying to find some shade. Trust me.
Right.
So whether it was raining or not, I can't say, but I will say that he decided to, you know, go under the tent, and those particular twin white guys if you look at them, they remind you of who exactly they are. Entitled. Feel that they're star athletes, that they are above the upper echelon as far as defending themselves, and they think that they can handle themselves. And until you run into someone that is melanated with the same attributes. And so I think they told him he had to get from under there, and I think he started aggressively bullying him. I don't know if they had a fight and then the knife came out, but I think it was something to the degree. A lot of people was like, well, why did he have a knife? And then you see these posts with these guys now these guys are they're in high school, and you see them posting with long rifles and handguns, right? So how legal is that? And I think under a post, people were saying, well, why did he have a knife? And I think what happened was one of those twins post pictures of a handgun and an AR style rifle in the car, saying that I wish one of these monkeys show up at the track meet today, or something like that. And so Carmelo, probably like us, we know those kids, we know who they are when we're around them. So it's like, you know what, I better have something just in case. So I mean, you know, at the end of the day, a child lost his life, and and another one lost his freedom. Yeah, another kid is
Speaking of that, Mr. Lee Merritt, he's a Texas attorney. I believe I want to say he's a civil rights attorney. I believe so because he's kind of, he's under the Benjamin Crump kind of umbrella.
Right.
He did a post and he was just talking about the unfair treatment as far as dealing with bond as being, giving bond to individuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he talked about Amber Geiger is the lady who, the police officer that unalived the one guy in his own apartment, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. He talked about two other kind of police officers, I want to say that, killed someone and, unlawfully, right? In certain situations, they all had bonds of $300,000 or less in Texas, right? They were able to bond out until their trial. This young man has had no previous behavior issues. He's had no record, clean slate, great student, everything. They give him $1 million bond.
Ooh.
$1 million. They held him to a higher standard than the police officers that have killed Black people prior.
Damn.
Why is he held at such a higher standard? So he, did a post and he was, because he's been involved in a lot of these cases out of Texas, right? So he did a post and he's, he's like talking about the injustices of how this is going so far. He did, he did put in there that he wasn't representing them, but he was just highlighting how this is unfair for Carmelo's family to be going through this, right? Mm-hmm. So after that, he soon made a post again. I guess Carmelo's family reached out to him. He had offered a consultation with them. I guess he had a meeting or was going to have a meeting set up. But after that post, his Carmelo Anthony's family reached out to him, declined the meeting, and pretty much told him to take the post down. And so, he came and like, he didn't understand it, but he wanted to make no mistake that his post wasn't because stating that he was representing the family. He was just showcasing the injustice that's happening, on this case with this, particular county. He said he offered to meet with the family. They declined. So he took the post down, and he's done. He was just trying to bring awareness. Now, in the Discord, in the comments, a lot of people said, this is what happens with Black families when a lot of times they can be misinformed and take it as, being a grifter, trying to be an ambulance chaser. When all he was saying was, one, he has a big audience, right? He was bringing awareness. Some people were saying, well, he was bringing awareness to this family, and they probably have been informed by somebody of, Ben Crump, and they only go after certain cases, and they're only after money. When civil rights attorneys don't really make a lot of money. It's promises, but you don't never really see it in return, right? They get money off of everything else. So, in the comments, it was like the family's being misinformed. Why would they want to do that? And then other people were like, he's only after them for money. It was just a whole discord of conversations when he, again, made no representation that he was representing the family. We didn't even know he had a consultation set up until after he was asked to take the post down. He was like, he felt heartbroken that the family didn't want to meet with him. He was only bringing awareness to the situation, such as everybody else. So why is he targeted instead everybody else that's bringing it to the forefront?
Well, who was targeting him? You think the family? Because I would say that I reached out to him
and told him to take everything down.
I would probably wait for the other shoe to drop on this. It seems that this Carmelo comes from a pretty decent background in the family structure with the mother and the father. And the mother and father could be someone of our status that says, I appreciate you, but we have our own family attorney, or we have an attorney that's unlike you guys. And they probably don't want the national spotlight on their son. So they probably don't want to go with a national spotlight lawyer. They're probably looking at doing something different. I think there's more to come. And I think that we probably should just wait this one out to see why would they refuse that. I kind of got an idea. Again, like I would choose anybody other than the Bing Crumps and the Lee Merritts. I would just look to someone else to represent me and my family at the different, if should an unfortunate thing happen. But that's me. And maybe they have a me over there telling them that, saying, hey, listen, there are other lawyers out there that are not as political motivated, and they're going to be just as good and just as fair at getting things done. You never know. That's Texas. Jasmine Crockett's the lawyer. She might have reached out and maybe had some of the firms that she worked with, because she does a lot of those type of cases. Matter of fact, that's what she does. She does a lot of civil cases. So something like that could have happened. And I think I think I'm kind of going to wait and see what's going on with it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those wait and see what's going on. It was so much discord around it, because you can tell. I don't know if it was one of those where, from an ego standpoint, like they declined me, you know what I mean? Or it was like truly heartbroken that he was really trying to help out and bring awareness. You never really know someone's intentions. You
don't know because text does not reflect tone. And so his text messaging, when I say text, I mean him posting. We don't know the tone. And you make a very good point. Did he was like, oh, how y'all gonna not want to meet with me? Yeah, you know, because there's no video on that. We don't know. Right, we don't know.
I'm definitely waiting to hear how that goes. I'm sad it's in Texas. I'm sad it's in Texas. It's not in, I'm sad it happened all together. I'm just sad it's not in, I would say, Minneapolis with their attorney general. I think they have a great one. I think, what's his name? Ellington. He picks a great team. I think so. He's the one who handpicked everybody for the George Floyd defense.
Oh, okay.
So he sought out everybody. I think he even assisted with, along with Ben Crump, assisted on the Ahmaud Arbery's case as well. So what's his first name? Ellington, out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's like the attorney general. He's the one who handpicked everybody for the George.
Keith Ellison. I mean, no, that's Milwaukee. Oh God.
I think his name is Keith.
No, Keith Ellison is in Minnesota. Yeah, he's attorney general in Minnesota. Mm-hmm.
Yes, he picks a great team. That's why I said I hope
He
knows how to handpick an amazing team.
I agree.
Well, hopefully everything works out for the young man. I think more than likely the bond will get lowered. There's no way they will keep.
That's you believing in your system again. There you go, Leon, believing in the system again.
Man, it's already set at $1 million. I'm just wondering.
I mean, they can lower the bond.
People just wanted to know, why was he held at a higher fee?
Yeah, by law they can, but I don't know. I don't know. I think this is I don't know. I'll be surprised. I hope that you're right, Leon, and the system does have a blindfold on, but we know that
I just feel like when you rock that boat, it stays the same.
It's a high profile.
How dare you point out these things to a judge? And it becomes, I said what I said, because they already have a God complex, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times speaking of, in addition to Culture Vulture, Vulture, we kind of talked about Sean King. We know that he
got you.
He got you ordering his book.
I got my $24 and I still ain't seen a book the first.
Yeah, but just imagine 2,000 of y'all spending $25.
Exactly.
He's right now at a beach in Tahiti saying, "Got him."
If you order John Hope Bryant book, I bet you'll get it.
Will I?
Hey, other one,
you'll get it.
Sean King, he got brought up on fraud charges as well. So Sean King and Sean King both in hot water.
At this point, I'd rather buy a book from Dr. Umar and just wait it out. At least I'm gonna get some funny videos in return.
Yeah, you might as well send your child to the Frederick Douglass Academy.
Pan African.
Yes.
So what's up with the Louis Vuitton?
With this culture thing, boots on the ground and trail riding has become a phenomenon, right? We hear about this whole boots on the ground and where your fans at and bring your fans out. you know, all of a
I feel like
sudden,
that came out fast.
I will say this about the trail ride. So being from the South, this is not new to us. Right. So we're
right.
I'm sitting here watching this in real time with Georgia. I'm watching South Carolina, but in Mississippi and Louisiana, we had listen. These things was popular maybe when I was in 25 years old. So 25 years ago, we was having trail rides all the time, or they call it coon on a log. You know, it's this thing that they used to be called a coon on a log, and it's when we get out there on the properties and do the same type of thing, riding the ATVs. The only thing nuances that they have done now that I see different is having actual performers perform with the stage.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was always somebody under a tent, maybe doing a little bit of DJ music, a little bit of a little bit of some of the things for a hayride. So it's I'm amazed how fast it's grown nationally. But those of us that are from the South, like the deep South, we're familiar with this. We're very familiar with it, and I'm happy to see it. But I think that the YNs are going to ruin it. And
so I'm getting to that. So
okay,
what's so crazy about it's TikTok famous? I would say it's TikTok famous now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed this whole boots on the ground. I'm trying to learn the dance at home. I'm going.
You ain't learned this dance yet?
I already got it. YouTube University. The song been out for over a year. Yeah. Over a year. I think 2 boots on the ground, right? And everybody's getting fans, and where your fans at? Louis Vuitton has came out with a fan purse.
You got to be kidding! You've got to be kidding! I did not know that. Okay, well, they're going to always capitalize because of who we are.
A fan purse for over $2,000.
Over $2,000.
Over $2,000 for this fan purse. And people are saying it's look like fan.
I'll go buy it too.
And there's so much conversation of, I'm getting that. Then it's like, now you're, culture appropriation. We set the culture and they're been profiting off of us again. Somebody's like, that came, they started making that 2 summers ago. A black Louis Vuitton rep salesperson came in the Discord and said, no, baby, that came out in 2025.
Makes sense.
You know what came out in 2025 most recently?
What's that?
Where them fans at? And they know that black people go
and they know what? They know that we're consumers. But here's the culture vulture of it all. Okay, they're going to capitalize on us and they're going to do all this. But here's the thing that goes back to what Larry said, that in the sense about financial, and we don't have a community of financial literature, but we don't have a financial cohesiveness of support. So we are not able to capitalize on what we do. Like Leon should have made a fan. He should have had a fan ready to go, ready to market. The problem is if his face is on it and it's not backed by Lil Wayne or 2 Chainz, we're not gonna buy it. That's
sure
why we allow cultural vultures to come and consume our dollars, because we're idiocy. We not idiocy, but we're not very smart, and we're not good at, one of your words is gatekeeping.
Yes.
If we were better gatekeepers and better steward over our let's just say intellectual properties, then it is very, very easy for not only Leon, but about another 300 people like him create a product that we all support based off of what we just created.
Yeah,
that will change if we would have a blood transfusion and be more like that.
So people go out and spend over $2,000 on a fan to be the coolest trail rider on the ground.
And not only that, it's the price.
But you scared to take the 25,000. I mean, the 50 to 75,000, and change your exemptions and get all the money. But you're scared to do that. But you're not scared to spend the 2,000 to 3,000, not knowing that you could lose your job the next day.
And we can't blame the companies like the Louis Vuittons.
Don't blame them. Blame us.
They just
blame us.
Normally they're not that quick though. I just find it funny because normally Louis Vuitton is not that quick, and I'm
really,
I
know.
Really?
But hold on now. These companies, they got a pretty deep R&D department, research and development, where they get.
But I'm just saying, I would expect Fashion Nova to come out with a fan faster than Louis Vuitton. You know what I mean?
Give it time. Yeah, they will.
Is Europe and
but
Europe and Italy?
They do keep it. Well, no, they keep it ear to the street. Who did Dapper Dan work for?
Gucci.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Gucci?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was Ralph Lauren.
No, Gucci.
Yeah, I think Gucci. So there are a lot of Dapper Dans that work for these companies that we don't know about. We just know about Dapper Dan because he was entrenched into the community. But I guarantee you, Louis Vuitton has a Dapper Dan. They
have a Pharrell Williams.
I thought it was Louis Vuitton.
They have a Pharrell Williams.
I thought he worked with Louis Vuitton.
I have no idea who he worked for, but I knew he worked for.
Yeah, no, Pharrell Williams is the head designer.
Look, it said Dapper Dan Louis Vuitton leather jacket, 1988.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me see.
But he's a Gucci man. He's so you are right.
Yeah.
And they just really ate it. Now I buy some crazy stuff, but no.
No.
Speaking of being a consumer of things that we love, that we consume, right? Stocks are low. Are we buying right now while stocks are low of our favorite things? Because if you can buy a Gucci fan, a Louis Vuitton fan, how come you can't invest in LVMH?
I think what you're saying is right. And I think that Warren Buffett said when people are scared, buy. And when people are spending, hold on to your money. And right now it's a fire sale. Things are on sale. The stock market is on sale. But do you have enough liquid capital to sustain? Because it's not going to happen overnight. These stocks are not going to come back in the next week or so. Some of them will return because the market always returns 10-12%. But there are some stocks that I don't think, like Tesla, I don't see Tesla returning to above $400.
It's already overvalued anyway.
Right. I don't see that stock returning to over $400 of value simply because he has been marked as the beast. And I don't see that one. I don't see Truth Social going to where, but hell, you had Trump dumping. He does a pump and dump all the time. He just dumps some of his Truth Social.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, his presidency, these next 4 years is going to be a quick cash and grab.
Yeah,
it is definitely a cash grab. I think personally, not to segue into this, I believe that they're purposely crashing the market because they do know how it works. And I think that those millionaires and billionaires are within his cabinet, they're within his alliance, that he tells them, because he knows if he go out there and say stupid stuff, the market reacts. Because the market was doing really good today. The market was up. And then Trump came right out and said that those tariffs will stick because Beijing missed the deadline. Boom, it come crashing down again. And so I think that they're doing it on purpose.
I told somebody that it was either today or yesterday we was talking about.
I think so too.
And I think he's doing it on purpose.
I think some of the financial some of the people who work in these stocks, right? Financial advisors, banking relationship managers, all of those things, or people who make money. I don't think that this time they were left out the seat from the seat at the table. And that's why you had the one guy who was crying online and, I'm sorry, you guys. And he, $150 million of his client's money is gone. And first of all, you're apologizing online. I don't know how that happens. Is that 1, 2, 3, turn the camera on, start crying? Like, how does that work? Like, is it, start now and tell people that you lost $150 million? Or I just don't know. I just think a lot of people didn't have enough money for that seat at the table to hear that conversation of we're gonna tank the stock market. Here, you buy everything up, and it's gonna go back up. I think some people got left out the conversation. I'm just saying.
Possibly,
think
because yeah, I think so too.
I think you should still invest, but just I say, in my opinion, do index funds, ETFs, not single stocks.
Right, a part of
KP's
every.
point,
Right.
yeah, to KP's
Yeah,
point
S
about
and
That's
P,
a
having
lot of
enough
people making
capital.
money.
Yeah, to
NVIDIA.
KP's
I
point
get
about
both
not
because
having enough money to
yeah,
buy enough capital to keep buying. You know,
Yeah, and
you
and
invest
the
in.
problem, right? The problem is, I think that you invest in the top 7 minus Tesla. There's a top 7 out there
Yeah, it
minus
is.
Tesla,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and you invest in those top 6.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the problem: if you got 500, let's just say you got about $2,000 or $5,000 to buy part of that ETF, that thing, or you're going to make enough money that's going to offset the 401k that you're losing about 5,000.
Therefore,
You get what I'm
a lot of
saying?
people,
Your 401k is losing. And so
hard.
if you do take another 5,000 and buy into these stocks at a low price, basically, if it does recover, all it's going to be doing is recovering what you lost in your 401. And so you got to think about that
yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. That's why I
Yeah,
say do it
I
on your
did
level.
some multi.
Yeah.
I did some multi-level. I did some single because Coke is gonna be up. Coca-Cola. I don't want to tell y'all, but you know they in Target. I mean, excuse me, in Costco and all those other places now. So
All right, Renee got some insider trading, guys.
And this is
I'm just
not
throwing you some gems.
this is not
They got rid of
stock
Pepsi.
advice.
They got rid of Pepsi.
It's
Now
not
they
right. The views that are expressed are only the views of the individual.
Yeah.
Only
yeah.
the individual.
This is for entertainment
Yes.
purposes.
All right.
entertainment purposes, but check it out yourself. Look where it's going. That's
Do
what
your
Kylan
research.
taught us.
That's the main thing. Do your research.
I would do
Research
my
and look where it's
research
going.
with the premise of always know where it's going. Like I said,
Right.
Tesla's not going back up to 400. I don't care what they
Yes.
do. He's
You
gonna end up
only
selling
invest
it
what
off.
you can.
Right.
Only
But
invest what you can. If
right, and be smart, right? Don't go and
Yes.
buy, some oceanfront property in Arizona. It's just be smart.
I
For sure.
mean, I don't know. Season.
There you go.
market season coming
You
up.
got to say, well, because of climate change, California falls off into the
No,
Pacific.
I'm just saying a
And
recession
then-
comes, God willing. I'm still working. That condo in Arizona or whatever that high rise looks.
No, I
very
said
good.
beachfront property. Don't buy beachfront property in Arizona.
Oh no. No.
Yeah.
But also good people buy stock. But my rule of thumb is if you don't have enough money to purchase 3 at a time, then you shouldn't be buying it. So don't do it.
Well, for learners or people who just getting involved, if you don't have enough, always there are some apps where you can buy fractional. It may not be a lot, but
It's
somewhere to
right.
start, somewhere to learn, and they give you education on what to do. You can start there. You can start somewhere. $5 a day, $5 a month, $10 a month, $10 a week, however you want to set it. Just learn how.
Yeah. Don't use all your money. Actually, Bitcoin is doing good, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Where's Bitcoin at right now? Just for the sake of
last time I checked, it was 60 something. Let me check right.
Man, that's not good.
Yeah.
Well, it's good from it depends on where you got in
stock
it.
market. Yeah.
It depends on where you got in
at
it.
103 or 1. So you telling me big? I don't even
It
watch
went down today. It went down today. It was good. It was good yesterday.
What was it?
But again, it's hit or miss. How much,
It's
It's
75
75 right now.
thousand.
Yeah. So where I got it at, I'm still in profit, but it's not much. But I think I got it at 43 and kicked myself in the behind last year. This time it was at 23, 17.
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking at it and I was like, that thing is done. And it shot up to 104. And I was like, oh God, what Liam, man? Why I didn't do it?
Hey, it's still never too late to get in. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to shoot back up like it always do.
Yeah.
But that's another thing.
Last year, this time it was down about 17 or 23,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So My investments include Costco, Coca-Cola, Walmart, S&P, NVIDIA, Ulta Beauty, all diversity and inclusion people, places,
Right.
things outside of Walmart.
Okay.
Tesla is just depressing, and Apple. Do with that as you may. Now, we move on to the next topic.
What you got?
Talking about investing in people. China recently, there was a post talking about China. They recently stated that with AI being, a major thing, right? We've heard Mark Cuban say that, your kids 10 and under, they should be looking into learning about AI. China has decided to start teaching AI in kindergarten. So
China's already been ahead of us in the terms of education of the youth.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Tiger Mom was 30 years ago, right? They've been. I think they just announced it. I think they've been doing it.
They probably just announced it, but now it's a requirement. It's a requirement in all of their schools, kindergarten and up, AI.
Who you think?
We're still trying to get people to learn how to, financial literacy. They have surpassed us.
Too much TikTok.
Well, they don't even their kids don't get the version of TikTok that we have.
Yeah, exactly. We got too much TikTok over here. Right.
Yeah, their government don't even allow that. And so I think that I think they was doing a courtesy of announcing it. I think they've been doing it. I think the announcement was just a courtesy or kind of slap in the face because of America. We're just steady sliding down the scale in terms of education or research and science. We're like just sliding down the pole, and it's at a rapid pace.
We're becoming very mediocre. What did Vivek call the white men? Very mediocre.
Now, this thing says here, starting fall, they must provide at least 8 hours of AI instruction. They gonna be getting it in.
Yeah.
Well, in China, they have a very different work culture there. It's very work, school. I believe they were even talking about there's a Tesla facility over there, right? And the goal was you get over there because Tesla was popular it's popular overseas. What they did was they took all of that information, learned the engineering behind it, of course, contributed to it. And now they have their own EV that's surpassing Tesla right now, called BYD. I think it's called BYD.
Right.
It's
BYD.
Yeah.
And it's surpassing.
Yeah, and it's
Tesla.
Actually it's a better car. And they earnings reported the first quarter was higher than Tesla's. And I expect that to even go any higher as they open up the markets. Because right now, it's 104% tariffs is about to go in on China.
Oh yeah. It's about to get rough.
I kind of want. I don't want us to but I kind of want somebody to push back on this dude. And the person that can bring the United. If I'm China, I'm welcoming this trade war because the United States is just we're the global market leader. Why? Because we consume more than everybody. So obviously our tariffs are going to be Trump's whole thing is that he want to bring the trade deficit to you can't, you dumbass, because we consume more than we import more than we export because nobody buy our stuff. We have outsourced everything, so we're going to always be at a disadvantage. And China just announced, one of the things that they did announce is China was very good at what you just said. They were very good at stealing intellectual properties, but because of different laws and because these things that we have in place, they were kind of abiding by it. Like when they made the Jordans, they made them always kind of thing, but they had to alter this a little bit. They said, okay, you guys want to do this? We're going to make your product. This is what they're going to do. They're going to forego all those intellectual properties, and they're going to copy everything that the United States consume, and they're going to sell it for pennies on a dollar so that our American dollar can tank.
No more copyright intellectual protections.
100%. Look at the whole, from a girly perspective, you have DH Gate and all the, they call the fake bags and purses. That stuff looks identical. And you buying a $10,000 bag and you go on DH Gate, you can get it for $50. Same leather,
Hey, they're making both of them.
Who made it?
And they're making both of them.
They're making both of them.
You say they making both of them.
Yeah, they're making the real and the knockoff.
They that's I've heard that's what they said they were gonna do. They were like, all right, it's on.
Yeah,
we're just gonna pop it. We're gonna y'all already accuse us of piracy. We about to really do it now. We about to be some John Lafitte pirates. And they're actually going to, I mean, they kind of announced it, like, you know what, they're gonna duplicate all our technology, all our things, and sell it to across the world for pennies on the dollar because they can.
Yeah, because didn't they find a way to go
and they have the labor.
Didn't they find a way to go through around the Panama Canal or something to get back over to us? I think
they built their own. Yeah, they built their own.
A shortcut around it because I think they looked at the ownership and something that the Trump administration didn't look at. Like, we don't own the whole thing. There's ways around it, and they found it and was like, chess. We played chess. Like, your turn. We just bought this.
And I think that your Vice President JD Vance, he made some very, very disparaging remarks to China, and they responded back and told them that hey, that was cute, but it was so disrespectful. They didn't say that, but he basically said that that we borrow money from these Chinese peasants, and in turn we buy the product with the borrowed money from these Chinese peasants. He literally called them Chinese peasants today. Damn. And he said that we borrow money. Now, when China decides to call that debt due, I wonder how we're going to respond then, because they own a lot of our debt. And at this point, Trump messing with these people, they can call that debt due. Yeah. And so, then, like I said, JD Vance called them Chinese peasants today. Not once, but twice.
It's only one country that is debt free, and it's a country in Africa where they paid their last. And you can look this up, Leon. It's the country in Africa.
Who is it?
They made their last payment last year on the debt that they owed, and now their country is debt free.
I think I heard about that, but what I'm looking at is what are y'all talking about? These tariffs. Yeah. That Elon Musk. So, what's up with?
So
what's
Elon,
going on with that?
Crazy enough, because his cars, they're the battery comes from Canada, right? Then he has automakers in China and all these other places in Mexico to complete his car, right? So of course, all of these tariffs is doing what with his pockets, to his income.
They hitting it.
It's gonna hurt his income, right? Mm-hmm. So now he's on TV. He did an interview and says he doesn't favor tariffs. And doesn't think it's right. So the girls,
and that's why him and Peter Navarro, right? Him and Peter Navarro is going at it. So Trump, they got a little infighting going on because Peter Navarro is he's a quack and he's in Trump's ear. His last presidency, they try to keep Peter Navarro from Trump, and those people have been removed, and so now he's directly at Trump. He is the orchestrator of all this tariff stuff. So. So
the girls are fighting. We knew it was coming. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're fighting.
You said he's the orchestrator of all this terror stuff.
Yeah, he's the one that's in Trump. Said he was trying to get Trump to really be bombastic about it in the first presidency, but Mick Mulvaney and all the other people were layers, and they would not let him get to Trump because they knew Trump was not very smart. And he will listen to the last person that he talked to, and then he's going to go right out and say what they just said.
I repeated that because that's something that I've been saying, right? It's like,
what's that?
Like you said, he's the orchestrator. Trump is so dumb. He don't know nothing.
He's so dumb. He is. Remember Ron Burgundy? We remember Ron Burgundy? It was like, just put it in the teleprompter. He'll say it.
He'll say it. He'll say it.
Right, he'll say it. Just put it in the teleprompter. Well, Trump is Ron Burgundy, and so the last person that he talks to, he spews their talking points.
Mm-hmm. That's what the conversation me and you be having in the barbershop when I be like, man, Trump, he just going along with whatever they say to do.
Whatever. I do feel that some of the, the people that are against the immigrants and everything, right? So if you think about it, these batteries are being made in Canada. China understands, all of the EV and the electrical things that goes about to, create the car. and everybody's like, yeah, it's going to move to the United States.
No, it's not.
We all know it takes years for that to happen, right? But we're not good with technology as an American, because if so, it would have started here in
we
the first
wouldn't
place,
outsource
right?
it. Plus, we don't have the morals.
So if we're building it here and we don't know what we're doing, what are we going to do to get those people over here? H-2 visas, right?
Yeah.
Well, if we get enough people out of here, then we can bring enough people back, right? I shouldn't say we, but I see where you're going with this.
I'm saying the people that will put money into their pockets. You get what I mean? Via H-2 visa.
Well, he's selling those visas, those $5 million visas. He's selling.
Yeah, remember that. Yeah.
There are people.
Yeah, he's selling some of those, but I'm just saying, with all of these different companies that are, building plants here that want to jump on the whole.
Those plants. I think just like anything else, we have to remember a lot of these people that we think are caving. They realize that they're dealing with a petulant child, and they're like, you know what? Just give him the pacifier. There's nothing in it. He thinks that is milk, but it's not. So I think a lot of them are just kind of like pacifying him because they know he's a petulant child. So they're like, hey, we'll invest $60 billion into infrastructure to build a plant in Wisconsin. And he goes right out and is like, I got them to do this, and you'll never see it, right?
Yeah, because like you said, it takes time to build plants.
Exactly. So my point is this: they know that, and so all he wants to do is tout a fake victory.
Yeah,
it'll never happen. Let me tell you something. He said the end result of the tariffs is we don't know. So some people say, well, it's to bring us in alignment with a deficit of trade. That's not true because we consume more. So it'll never be that. Some say, well, he's doing this to make these companies bring their jobs back over here. Well, that's not true because he put tariffs on South Africa, and they produce emerald diamonds, right?
Right.
Where are they gonna come over here to dig for diamonds? Get what I'm saying?
Right.
So they can't bring that job over here. The cocoa bean, the cocoa that comes out of Africa that they import to Swiss, and Swiss takes credit for it.
Right. 100%.
You got a tariff on that, and so no, they got to bring the cocoa plants over here. You can't. It's dumb. It's ludicrous, and it doesn't make sense. So
it doesn't make sense. And a lot of those things, you're going to be hiring all these people from overseas because remember, Elon, he's in favor. Him and Vivek, they all wanted to bring all their people over, right? Because the white.
And that's why it's funny that you say that, but where's Waldo now? When the last time you seen Vivek Ramaswamy? You know why you hadn't seen him? Because he wrote that 8-page letter calling Americans dumb, saying that we need to, dumb while we're worried about the prime Zach and the prime king and all that when we should be worrying about education. And basically what he said is, in order to fulfill these jobs, Americans are too dumb to do it. So we got to bring these people from India to do it. And it was like, where's Waldo?
And now he's running for governor and just to get out of here. Yeah. Not Breakfast Club, Lion. Speaking of that, the tariffs and everything going on.
The tariffs.
And, all of the issues. There was a march over the weekend.
I know. I saw Leon and Larry. I told them to not go.
No, I don't know what march you're talking about.
The hands-off march.
They were thinking it was a Million Man march, and they went.
The 92% would be at home resting. Right?
Yeah, no.
The 89%.
This march was it was called a hands-off march.
Yeah.
It was orchestrated. It was like 1,400 different marches, and it garnered a lot of not much. CNN didn't cover a lot of it.
It was not a lot of mainstream media.
Well, they're all
they didn't cover it. Did not cover it. And so it's due to social media why we're able to see the crowd. I mean, the crowds were large.
They came out.
All the major cities.
Yeah. And we had a few of us sprinkled in there, but for the most part, a lot of us
we stayed home.
We stayed home.
We were at Dreamville. Right. Everybody was at Dreamville.
Right.
And Rob.
It's like we stayed home because it's like what Richard Pryor, y'all may be too young. Richard Pryor said, "In which way is up?" He said, "Boy, that shit's between the white folks. That's between the white folks and Mexicans."
It's not our problem. It wasn't our problem. We did our part.
We stayed hands
did
off.
our part.
That is not our fight. We've already done the fighting, and they're just trying to goad us into getting in the streets so that one of the things that did come out of it, Renee, and I know you saw this, how peaceful it was. There were no agitators. It was very peaceful. There was no police presence. Yeah. A lot of police presence. There were nobody getting arrested with no paddy wagons. Meanwhile, when we were doing this same march in 2020, where we was met with all this resistance, all the tanks, you know what I mean? Trump didn't even send out the National Guard for these people.
So where was the march at? All over?
They had one in downtown Durham. All the major cities. They had one in Durham.
Yeah.
They had a little bit in Raleigh, but everybody was at Dreamville. You know what I mean?
New York, it was in Boston.
92 and 89%, and the few sprinkled there, down the line.
And the Fantasia Anthony Hamilton concert was the same time, so they gave us something to do. The youngsters went to Dreamville.
Yeah.
The Generation X went to the Anthony Hamilton concert.
Do you think it was effective?
I don't think so. They're not mad I don't think they're mad enough. A friend of mine, we talked about it today, and he was like, "KP, you think it was effective?" I said, "No, I ain't seen no fights. They're not mad enough. I got to see until I see the whites start having fights.
Yeah,
then I'll say, okay, we getting there, but they're not mad enough yet."
Yeah, it's the same reason why
I don't think it was effective because of the ruling today by the Supreme Court to continue to overrule the federal courts to allow them to continue with the firing of the 16,000 federal workers throughout
the probationary period. Yeah, the probationary period, it stood, and they sided with Trump administration, said that he had the authority to do it.
Now
that's actually scary.
So is that the one they called him back? Is that the same one when they
they called him back?
Back.
I think we talked about so many different ones.
Oh, yeah,
there was so many. They were apart.
So many,
remember, the federal courts said that was illegal to let them go. So call them back.
Right.
They, I don't know if they got the email to come back to work, but then they took it to the Supreme Court, and they just ruled today that they have the right.
So that was the one. That's crazy.
It was, But also what you're talking about, remember I think the FCC and the Agency of Defense, I think they got called back. It was like, oops, we let y'all go. Y'all got to come back to work. Like we was just playing because y'all over the nuclear department.
Yeah.
They let those people go. And it was like, wait a minute.
National defense right there.
Yeah. Who going to monitor this stuff that's going on? And some of the FAA people like, oh, the planes, y'all actually monitor and handle the plane. Y'all got to come back to work.
Yeah, FAA.
Elon,
they were left out.
Right.
FAA was left out of those agencies that letting people
they came back. The rehire.
Yeah. They weren't part of the agency that they were able, said you're fired.
Well, no, they needed because before Elon had even taken over, they were about 300. They were about 3,000 jobs short. They were already short.
So it's definitely HUD. It was Department of Veteran Affairs, so the vets, you voted for that, buddy. And you knew that. I believe it's the Health Department as well. I have a list. So it is Department of Veteran Affairs, VA, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, Interior, and Treasury.
Yeah.
The CDC. I don't think defense.
The Treasury?
Defense?
Yeah.
The decisions affects employees at the Department of Veteran Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, Interior, and Treasury. Many of those workers were either new hires or recently promoted. That's crazy. And still within their probationary period, a status that offers limited job protections.
Damn.
You promoted. Just think, you got promoted to supervisor. You've been in this job for 5 years.
Yeah.
You got promoted to supervisor. You back on probation. You know that you got 90 days, but now you lost your job.
I wouldn't be pissed about the promotions. I'm pissed about the people who are like the foot out the door for retirement.
I got a promotion that I lost a job for. I could have been an individual contributor and stayed there.
And the problem is they firing all these people without, again, you got to be shrewd. The reason for this, all those things that they're attacking were all the agencies that regulate Elon and his businesses and all his businesses. Yes. They regulated him. The EPA, they got rid of a lot of the EPA. They rolled back a lot of things because EPA and a lot of those grievances that they had against Elon and SpaceX and all these things, because remember, they were finding him for, them blowing up ships, just falling over things, endangering people. So the EPA and a lot of them, he had a lot of grievances with them where he was, where they didn't have kind of lawsuits, but more like fines. And so he gutted everybody that he had a grievance with, he gutted it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So he don't care that the Tesla's going belly up, because he's going to make his money on SpaceX and all that other stuff, because he was able to gut those things that were going to actually govern him. So so we need to be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, that's when people say he's losing a lot of money with Tesla. I'm like, man, he don't do you really care about that?
Guess who disagreed with the decision at the Supreme Court level? The 92%. Miss Sonia Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown.
They wrote
Ketanji Brown, who Biden put in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they disagree. But again, the Supreme Court is what is it? Is it 6 Republican?
Court.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a 6-3. Occasionally, Amy Coney Barrett, she half sided to make it a 5-4, but all those two seats were stolen between Mary Garland. Mary Garland was nominated. They didn't take the vote, but Neil Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett.
Yeah. We were hoping that Biden would have added a additional seat, but you can only wish so much.
It's the Democrats. They play by the rules. Yeah, they play by the rules, and I think a lot of us are getting tired of it. We're getting tired of our side showing up with a knife to a gunfight, and we're just getting tired of it. And at some point, we're looking for somebody to hit back.
Speaking of that, let me see if I can find something. KP, y'all keep talking. I want to find something.
While you do that, so speaking of hitting back on Target. Target is coming with an apology. Target has now started selling Thank Black Women t-shirts with a black woman as the model.
I saw that. So Larry, what did I say if I was L White Man? What did I said I would do?
Yeah, you said that, yo. The whole thing was, well,
they listening to me.
We're gonna appease.
It would have hit harder if they would have had a white woman in the shirt.
Hey. I said that if I was a CEO, if I was sitting in that C-suite, I would do just that. I would, and that's how I would do it.
That's how you work it.
Listen, so what you just said about, what you say about the Democrats not doing what?
I said they're feckless in their leadership. I didn't use that word before, but they're feckless. They're weak, and we're tired of it as a black community that wants somebody to punch back.
They're not cohesive.
They're not. So what y'all think?
We saw that.
They go by the rules, and we're tired of going by the rules.
What y'all think about this? New era Detroit. Y'all know what it is. The guys out there in Detroit who control the streets and try to keep the crime down. So listen to this. He said, when I hear Obama say, I don't know if y'all seen Obama about when he said this. I seen it the other day. He said, when I hear Obama say, imagine if I would have done what Trump is doing, I think to myself about a black man being in the highest political seat in the world for 8 years. And after all black people have been through in America, didn't do anything to ruffle no feathers on behalf of our people in our communities. So yeah, imagine if he would have fought for us just as hard as Trump is fighting for his people and what he believes to be right. No matter what other people think or the consequences, Obama had 8 years to imagine and implement, but didn't.
It's different.
Not the same.
It's different.
It's a machine, but it's not the same. It's no different than having a black chief of police and still having white officers, and the system with they're still gonna kill unarmed black people, even though it's a black chief. It's this.
Yes,
It's the
people who
machine.
say that don't understand Congress, the Senate,
Right.
and everything else. They don't understand it. They say that because they see Trump doing this right now, but he also has Congress, he has the Senate, and he has the Supreme Court. Obama has never
And
had
he
three in a
has,
row.
and he and right, and he has the skin that he can cash in.
I think so. I think some people understand that, but
no, they don't, because if they did, they wouldn't say that. If they did, they wouldn't say it, and they wouldn't believe that.
And we need to be careful about, like I'm saying, we need to be careful about putting commentary out there like that. But that probably that's probably a Russian bot over there in Georgia, Russia.
No, that's y'all follow New Era Detroit on y'all know the old.
I don't have bot following that because that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm not going to do that because, for one,
how can somebody have that big a platform write something so idiotic?
Man, if you listen to him talk, you'll see. Just follow New Era.
So he wanted Larry Elder. That's how we know Lee. We know about Leon, man. I'm telling you, man.
You follow the dude, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Listen, Leon is a culture.
Some people who
Let's talk about culture plants.
It's some people who think like that. I mean,
you some people.
I'm reading what he said because of what KB said about the Democrats being
again,
that's what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna have to say,
see,
Obama has never had the full House. Never.
Yeah, to fight Mitch McConnell.
Never.
He had it for 2 years.
He's never had a full House like Trump.
And
never.
then the next 6 years, he didn't have any control of Congress. That's why he wrote so many executive orders.
Biden, never.
But we got to talk about that for a second, though. When I see a lot of black people that say Obama didn't do anything for black people, that lets me know that they was never tuned in to begin with, because they expected one man to fly in here with a cape on a dragon and slay everything. But it's like, well, what are you doing for your community to help? You wanted Obama to come in and save you, and I got it. I see Trump just going through and setting everything on fire.
You're right. Obama and any other black that's going to be a black president from here on out, they don't have the privilege of going in there and being the president of black people, whereas Trump has the privilege of going in there and being the president for white America.
They thought Obama was going to go in and say, "I'm going to drain the swamp." That's what they were expecting.
Yeah, they would have drained him.
Yeah.
We would have been, it wouldn't have been pretty.
But my whole thing is they should have not. Us as our community, we always looking for somebody to come in and just do the work when it's on us, man. Ain't nobody coming in to save us. No black president. It's on us and our communities to come in and say, "Hey, how are we gonna do this together?"
And what they didn't do is, it was our job to help Obama. If we know about if we watch Schoolhouse Rock, we know that not only did we have to come out for the general, we got to come out for the midterms too, to give him the Congress that he needs to enact these laws that he was going to push. So they stayed home. We sit there and watch this racist Tea Party rise up, which is now the Republican Party. Now we watch this Tea Party come together in his first midterms, man. The Democrats got slaughtered, right? And then they lost the House and the Senate for the rest of the 6 years of the rest of his Congress. But we didn't come up as a community to be like, well, wait a minute, y'all don't see this play happening? We need to counter this and give him the Congress that he needs in order to enact the things that he needs to do moving forward. And so people can complain.
So they're never going to give Obama his credit for the body cameras, right?
I mean, there were a ton of things he did. I mean, he did just the ACA itself. But even for women in his first term, he did the Lilly Ledbetter Act, which was equal pay for equal work for women. That which was a lawsuit. This white woman brought a bunch, right?
He bridged the gap, and now women are making
the gap
again. People were looking for the individual get backs. Well, what Obama didn't give us reparations. Like, was he supposed to? Like,
that's because people don't understand that is appropriated through Congress and not president.
And that's where, Leon, that's where I have a problem when people say that. It's like, they don't understand. When people say that, it's almost like Kamala. Well, what was Kamala Harris doing? We haven't seen JD Vance. We seen him get into an argument with Zelensky. We seen him say something about China, and then he's been skiing the remaining of the time. Oh, he went to go visit a military base with his hat on and was being real disrespectful. But for the most part, he was skiing and he was golfing. So I'm just saying, Kamala would be right.
Right. They used to come for Kamala like that, talking about it's just a failed experiment. It didn't work out. And I would say, well, name 3 things that Pence did in his 4 years. Name 3 of them. Where did you see him? What did he do?
Right.
And what piece of legislation was tied to his name or some body of work that he did? And you will be able to name them, but it's that white privilege.
It is. And
Kamala had to be extraordinary.
Yeah. And if he was of value to Trump, then Trump wouldn't be trying to have his people unalive him. On January 6th.
Hey, they was hunting that man. For sure.
Were they not trying to unalive him on January 6th?
Right. They definitely had erected a gallows onto the lawn.
I'm saying.
They erected a gallows, and they had somebody in mind and who they wanted to put it to try to see if it fits.
That's what I'm saying. So it bothers me when I hear people say that. Somebody even said that to me. Well, how come if Trump can do it right now, how come Obama couldn't do it? Are you crazy? It doesn't even look the same. It doesn't look the same.
That was the Trump's whole niche of running on strength. You know, we're gonna make America strong again because I'm strong, and I'm gonna give you what you
did a little bit more. Yes, he tried. I mean, his book is great, but Michelle tells a different story because she's telling it from she didn't want to be there in the first place. So her story is real.
Right.
Like, I didn't want to be here. I told him don't do it. He did this. I told him though that those white people don't fuck with you like that. He wanted to do it anyway. Like her book is very raw from a place of I didn't want him to run in the first place, and also she was his mentor growing up. So she mentored him throughout his law career and stuff. He worked for her.
Larry, you see the 92% always got to try to put their little thing.
I'm just saying.
The 92% always trying to be like, go ahead. I'm listening.
Her book tells a different story. Her book tells a different story from a perspective of, a black woman who knew the odds were stacked against her husband, and she saw it and she tried to tell him, and he was still trying to fight and continue to fight. And she was okay living in her, parents' townhome in Chicago with him and they 2 kids. It was cool,
No, you're right. She did not want she didn't want no parts of it.
None, and was so mad. She said when he ran a second time, that was like, she really, like, they almost divorced.
Because, it was in the book, in The Becoming. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see?
Yeah, she said that they were at the crossroads.
89%. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He knows. So you talk about reading a book, Leon. Read that book. It's great, and I have it downstairs.
I ain't reading that.
I have Tanji Brown's book as well.
Yeah, because it's got Obama. Listen, Renee, it has Obama name in it.
I don't care about that. I ain't got nothing against Obama.
If it was Dave Ramsey on the cover, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put a Dave Ramsey cover on top.
You go.
I'll read. Yeah, give me Dave Ramsey book.
That's what we got to do. We got to take the book cover of a Dave Ramsey and put it on The Becoming, right? On Becoming, and he won't know what he reading.
What is that book going to teach me? The Becoming.
It's going to teach you about.
And not listen to stories. And not listen to the.
Teach you about black love.
Don't listen to what?
Right.
Hold on. What? Don't listen to what?
It's gonna teach you to bypass when you come across some sort of Detroit Discord talking about
that was 8 years. I was getting y'all opinion. I don't care nothing about what he said. I was getting y'all opinion about what KP said about
you
Democrats.
You was too happy to look for it and find it and bring it up. You was
I don't care about that.
Listen, hey Renee, he had that arrow in his quiver and he couldn't wait to draw it out.
No, I didn't know about that. Look, when you say the Democrats is weak, you vote for the Democrat. You're a Democrat. You vote for them. You say they're weak. So that's what I keep trying to get to y'all.
No, we get it, Leon.
Y'all be all over the place with this stuff.
We're saying that they're weak, but that right there
Right.
has no
Leon.
substance, has no bearing.
But what I'm saying, I don't care about that. You can't make me care about that because you think I don't care about that. I'm going off of what he said, that he said Democrat was weak, and I'm just reading what the dude said about Obama. That's all.
Leon,
I don't care about. I don't have no feelings about that.
Leon, you're not. Listen, Leon, you're not wrong. It's just that it's just that you're disingenuous in your stand. It's kind of like this is what you. This is
I don't have what kind of stand do I have?
Folks like you do this to us. Like, well, y'all on that plane, y'all vote, y'all know they weak, y'all know they this, and you kind of sit back with your arms folded. And we're like, well, look, Leon, what we're trying to say is we understand that, we know that. But in order for us to participate in this political process, we have to engage in one of these parties that we can actually push. You're not going to be able to push the Republicans because they're going to push your black ass out. Right?
But at the same time, y'all complain about what can't be done.
We didn't say what can't be done. We're just saying that the struggle.
Oh,
yes, the struggles. We were just saying what Obama could not do.
Basically, what can't be done. That's basically what you're saying. What can't be done. That's basically.
Leon is like,
Leon, you need to choose a side.
How you try to put it? You're basically saying what can't be done because of this.
Leon, you got to pick a side.
Right or wrong.
You got to pick a side.
Right or wrong.
No, we don't say
something can't be done because of this, right?
Well, I think what we probably need to do for Leon is we need to speak in a different language. Instead of saying something that can't be done, we'll say that we're going to have some challenges with moving this agenda forward. And that way we take that argument point from him, because right now he can nail us to the cross with that.
Yeah, so okay. Because I'm trying to hear what can't be done.
Right now we're having challenges with voter registration. And we have some challenges with that. And so we're going to get those things figured out.
And matter of fact, you kind of agree with me on the past podcast saying, Leon, you're right. We're going in circles. We're doing this and we can't do this. You know what I mean?
That's why I said we're going to have to change the language.
Come on. Yes.
We're going to change the language for our own. We got to change our language for our own, skin folk.
Yes. And people need to understand there's, elections, there's more elections than the one every 4 years.
Right.
Yeah, we talked about it.
And being involved. Yes, we talk about it. Not enough though, because people aren't showing up. Look what they did to the Supreme Court justice, the lady who won, the Democrat who won. Now, the
Wisconsin.
Yes, Riggs. The Republican.
Riggs. Yeah.
Yeah. She won. They recounted it twice, I believe 3 times they recounted it, and she won. The guy she was running, she's what's his name, Griffin, running up against. He's already a judge.
Yeah,
but he's
they both judge. Yeah,
Supreme Court that there is Republican, so they agreed that they should remove 65,000 votes. So now you have to go in and see where you won, the ones that they removed, and deem that you didn't provide your ID or your address was wrong. You got to go and check, and then get yourself set up again and revote again.
They blocked it for like 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, but you go in and you enter your name, you enter your county, your last name in your county, right? And it'll show up. I enter my name. It's a couple burdens. I wish I could reach out to them, like, get your shit together and revote. But man,
there's only one party that's trying to hamper the vote, and that's the Republican Party. And if they can get this new piece of legislation passed, it's going to be really bad. If they can get this piece of legislation passed, it's going to be really, really bad. And it's the SAVE Act.
Mm-hmm. They removed Allison Riggs' parents as part of the 65,000. Removed her parents.
Damn.
They have to go in and redo it all over again. He's a vet. She worked for years as well. She showed her ID, did all the things that was asked of her, but apparently something was missing. So she was part of the 65,000 that they deemed
she got purged.
Mm-hmm. And they had to go in and set it up all over again.
That's wild. That's wild.
Well, this is the only race
that's still going on. Like, this is the only political race that's still current, which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Yeah. Wow. So we say all this to say, people, you gotta pay attention to more, definitely what's at your doorstep, right? Your state and your government and your county and all of those things that's going on, in addition to the world.
Stay focused.
Stay focused, educate yourself and stop listening to people that says Obama didn't do nothing for 8 years, unless you read a book first. Or you can't say that and also benefited from the Obama healthcare plan. Please.
Everybody did.
Or if your grandma, got discounted Medicaid, Medicare, diabetic, insulin and all of that, but you still saying what did, Obama do for people? I'm just saying, and don't be mad, when you over your checking account goes over, right? Those overdraft fees, please don't say what Obama did.
Oh yeah, that's a wrap. That's a wrap.
Now they're back. It was $5 cap. Now there's no cap. So, when people say that, what he did it for the people, the poor people. Also, please don't scream that if your credit card due date ends on a Sunday, he set it up to where you can pay it that following Monday and it doesn't affect your credit. But, with they're getting rid of CFPB and all of those other companies. So, pay your bills on time. Pay your bills on time because, he did that too. Also, and Kamala, with medical loans and bills on your credit report and, all of those things hindering you from buying that home that she, was going to promise to give you that $25,000, finally that went through, but he's trying to undo that. So, those medical bills going back on your credit. So your DTI income is going to go up. So you won't be able to buy that house. And FHA is going to soon not be able to help you either. So, when you say what is Kamala or Obama or Biden done for y'all, you
need to jump in his comments and let him know that.
It's crazy. So your grandma, your great insulin is gonna be high as hell. But again, Obama didn't do nothing.
And in the comments, your boy, what's your boy with Ian Smith, the black what's the guy? Ian Smith. The has the apparel.
I think I know you're talking about.
He's in there going at him.
Active black.
Yeah, actively black. He's in there going at him. At the guy who posted who said that about Obama.
That's my boy.
Yeah.
I got active black in my closet.
Yeah.
I think that article, that guy lacked a lot of scholarship in writing that particular piece.
Yeah. He should have took us some of those, the incentives that, Obama put in place, for school and, some of the tuition reimbursement and all of, some of those, FAFSA offerings and stuff. But we ain't got it no more because, it's up to the states.
Yeah. and let it be known, I never said Obama didn't do anything for blacks. I voted for Obama both times. So just for your information. So you know that.
Just know borrowers defense funds where people getting their loans wiped off and stuff because of school misconduct that started under Obama. I'm not saying I'm not saying nothing else. I'm not saying that.
You can say what you want to say. I don't take that you are talking. I don't take that you are directly talking to me. I don't take it as that. You can say
for those who believe he didn't really do nothing.
Yeah, you can say it to the whoever's listening.
Yeah, unfortunately because in some stores we gotta when there's no villain we gotta create one. And unfortunately, you're our resident Trump expert, Trump voter, and just accept your role, brother. You're our villain.
You can call me a Trump supporter.
No,
that don't ever bother me.
No.
He don't live in my head like I live in y'all head. That was like I keep telling people.
You're not a Trump voter. You're just a Trump.
This stuff would never stress me out like it stressed y'all out.
He don't stress me out. Well, I'm stressed out.
Our villain is villaining.
Yeah, he stressed y'all out. Y'all.
Yeah. He stressed me out because 16,000 people unemployed and not able to pay their bills affects all of us because that decreases our property values and it ups our taxes.
Yeah, I understand all that. Yeah, I understand all that, but I don't let it.
I want people to get jobs. I want you to go to work.
I do too. I want people to work and all that. Yeah, I don't like a lot of stuff you're doing, but hey, it ain't gonna.
One monkey don't stop that show.
Nah, I ain't saying
No,
that. I see a lot of people, man. You can't have a conversation, which I understand the climate, but that's like you go on certain people. Trump. I'm like, man, I don't want to hear all that all day long.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, a podcast, I say with a podcast, but it's. I mean, you seeing people, man. Look, hey.
I mean, people are.
It's a bad
hurt,
time, but
right? Just like
I understand that.
That man on the bike, and I voted for this foolishness.
Oh yeah. And I voted for this. I ain't ashamed to say it. Yeah, I won't do it no more.
Well, you won't get a chance to do it no more.
I'm about to say it won't be no more.
Yeah. He trying to become a king.
Yeah, it was a black man too. He voted for this, but he didn't vote for this. He ain't ashamed to admit it. He voted.
I have no sympathy for any of this, man. You get what you vote for.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
But evidently some people don't.
Where I'm at, the 89 to 82%. Us in the 82%, along with the 92%, hashtag tried to tell them. Tried to tell them.
Yeah.
We have, as Dave Chappelle is, I know the whites. We know them.
Yeah, we know them.
We got 400 years with them. We know them. So.
People voted for him 3 times.
Oh yeah, not 89.
Now I'm talking
about
why we regret
I gave y'all too many points. Yeah, the 82%. But y'all did good though. Y'all did what y'all could. We just want you to show up and show out next time. You know.
If I could get Leon and probably push us over the threshold.
Oh shit.
No, it wouldn't.
Your vote is a million. Your one vote is a million votes, Leon.
No, it wouldn't.
It would have helped.
This was great. So the next topic, and I'm just throw this out here for you guys to think about. Some black men are upset that Kamala spoke out and said, "I told you so." Let's talk about it on the next episode of Impel Forward Podcast.
Yeah.
All right. There you have it for another episode of the Impel Forward Podcast. And remember, seize the opportunity to grasp your dream.